Guys, what the hell is going on with Linkin Park?
One thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try.
What's up guys, Mike here. Welcome back to my channel. Make sure you subscribe for more videos like this on your feed. Let's get into it. Okay, so as a 90s kid and millennial, I grew up on Linkin Park. I absolutely loved those guys. They have so many freaking amazing songs. I've become so numb. And I've always really enjoyed their music. The partnership between Chester Bennington and Mike Shinoda was always really great. The way Chester had these like punk, emo, screamo vocals and Mike Shinoda had a more like relaxed voice, would often do rap and hip hop in the music. It was just a really new style of music that I had never heard before. And I feel like throughout the early 2000s, Linkin Park really spearheaded that new metal genre, and that like emo kind of alternative sound really worked well for them. I was a massive fan of their album Meteora when that came out, and then the follow-up Minutes to Midnight was also fantastic. They then put out an album called 1,000 Suns, probably around 09 or 010, and to be honest, I absolutely loved that album. It's still probably one of my favorite records of all time. But to be honest, after that, I kind of went off Linkin Park a bit. I never really followed up with many of their later albums, and then sadly, Chester Bennington died around 2017, which was devastating news as a lifelong fan of the band.
For me, it just felt like too much. Like to get back on it and try and do some version of music.
It's now been about 7 or 8 years since that happened, and the band has been relatively inactive during that time, with Mike Shinoda doing a lot of solo work under his own name, often being really reflective of his time in Linkin Park, his relationship with Chester, and how what happened affected him. And some of that music was really emotional. I actually quite enjoyed Shinoda's solo output because it was just so raw, and I think it hit home for lots of fans of that band. But over time, the question became what was going to happen with Linkin Park, because Chester, of course, alongside Mike, was one of the front people of the band, and without Chester, it did feel like a lot of that band's identity was lost, which was a terrible thing, but just the truth.
You can't handle the truth!
But with a large fan base and a legacy as strong as Linkin Park, it made sense that one day they would return in some form. This then led to this countdown they did on Twitter, which also coincided with the frontman of Canadian pop punk band Sum 41, Deryck Whibley, saying that he had a big announcement.
Oh, how hard it is to plan an announcement these days.
Sum 41 has announced that they will be finishing up, which led to many people believing that Deryck Whibley would be announced as the new frontman for Linkin Park. But Deryck quickly cleared up these rumors, explaining that he definitely wasn't joining Linkin Park or Oasis for that matter.
I'm not joining any other bands. I do find it interesting though, the amount of text messages I got asking me if I was joining Oasis of all bands.
And then the countdown that Linkin Park put up hit 0 and then started counting back up, causing mass confusion, and it just felt like the band was kind of trolling its own fan base.
In the doctor!
But we finally got some really exciting news. They put out their first new single, The Emptiness Machine, with a brand new singer, Emily Armstrong. Admittedly, I'd never heard of Emily Armstrong before, but she's apparently the lead singer of a band called Dead Sarah, but now she picks up in Linkin Park. I think this is a really cool move. Having a female vocalist in what is one of the biggest rock bands in the world is really cool in itself. It also separates the era from Chester a bit. It doesn't feel as much like they're trying to necessarily replace Chester, but just go in a brand new direction for the group. That being said, upon listening to the first single, Emily Armstrong is so good vocally and really does channel her inner Chester Bennington, and I think it works really well for her.
Don't you cut me off!
But then a lot of people started talking about her association with the Church of Scientology, but even worse, what appeared to be her support of Danny Masterson from That 70s Show, who has been convicted of some pretty awful crimes. Armstrong was seen attending a trial allegedly in support of Masterson when it happened, and people started unleashing on her for this association. She was then forced to put out a statement which reads, "Several years ago I was asked to support someone I considered a friend at a court appearance and went to one early hearing as an observer. Soon after I realized I shouldn't have. I always try to see the good in people and I misjudged him. I have never spoken with him since. Unimaginable details emerged and he was later found guilty." So in a way, she put all of those allegations, I guess, to rest and just kind of went about her own business. I mean, I think it's pretty fair, and it seems like everything is kind of cleared up from there, but what a rocky road it was. I think this is a really general internet outrage machine kind of response to someone like that. It really went out of hand, not all the information was available, and Armstrong herself was forced to kind of clear the matter up. And I think it's important for us to remember how quickly the internet can make things grow out of hand. Like, no one really wanted to verify what happened. They all just seemed to want to point the finger at Armstrong and tell her how wrong she was and how bad a person she was. And I don't think that's productive for society at all. Also, even the rumors around Deryck Whibley just circulated so quickly and got out of control, all down to what was literally just a big coincidence. At the end of the day, I'm happy that Linkin Park is making new music together. I think Chester is such an important part of that band's identity, but I think having a new era for the band is going to be really good for the genre and for music itself. Whew, thank you so much for listening, guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for more videos like this. Down in the comments, I want to know, what is your favorite Linkin Park song and album? Down there, leave them. And do you know Emily Armstrong since before this announcement? Because I certainly didn't. Hey, if you like my stuff, Patreon is the best way to support me for $1 a month. All the links are down there. You can also leave a one-off donation over on PayPal, which would mean the world to me as well. And if you want to read my blog or subscribe to my newsletter, it is all down there in the description. I write about being a millennial, having anxiety, love and pop culture, and how all of these things intersect in my life. I would love for you to give some of it a read. That's pretty much it from me for now. My name's Radio Mike. This has been The Inside of My Mind, and I will catch you later.